Neverwhere. He originally wrote it as a teleplay for the BBC and then turned it into a novel. He's won numerous graphic novel awards. He wrote a episode for Doctor Who. Anybody familiar with Doctor Who? There we go. Okay. That won a Saturn Award, which I presume is a science fiction TV award. Trying to think what else. His novels have a mix of everyday life, magic, and mythology. And he's written several books. The last book I read was American Gods, and that took place in the United States, and has an interesting twist to it. He wrote a graphic novel called Sandman along with somebody else, and that was very well received in that world. And so, without further ado, the book is about Richard Mayhew, who's an everyday person, lives in London, and he has a strange interaction with this young woman named Dor. And his life is turned upside down. This is just a prologue to lead you into the book. Excuse me. The night before he went to London, Richard Mayhew was not enjoying himself. He had begun the evening by enjoying himself. He had enjoyed reading the goodbye cards and receiving the hugs from several not entirely unattractive young ladies of his acquaintances. He had enjoyed the warnings about the evils and dangers of London, and the gift of the white umbrella with a map of the London Underground on it that his friends had chipped in money to buy. He enjoyed the first few pints of ale, but then, with each successive pint, he found he was enjoying himself significantly less, until now he was sitting and shivering on the sidewalk outside the pub in a small Scottish town, weighing the relative merits of being sick and not being sick, and not enjoying himself at all. Inside the pub, Richard's friends continued to celebrate his forthcoming departure with an enthusiasm that Richard was beginning to border on the sinister. He sat on the sidewalk and held on tightly to the rolled-up umbrella and wondered whether going south to London was really a good idea. "You want to keep an eye out," said the cracked old voice. "They'll be moving you on before you can say Jack Robinson or taking you in. I wouldn't be surprised." Two sharp eyes stared out from a beaky, grimy face. "You all right?" "Yes, thank you," said Richard. He was a fresh-faced, boyish young man with a dark, slightly curly hair and large hazel eyes. He had a rumpled, just-woken-up look to him, which made him more attractive to the opposite sex than he would either understand or believe. The grimy face softened. "Here, poor thing," she said, and pushed a 50-pence piece into Richard's hand. "How long you been on the streets, then?" "I'm not homeless," explained Richard, embarrassed, attempting to give the old woman her coin back. "Please, take your money back. I'm fine. I just came out here to get some air. I go to London tomorrow," he added. She peered down at him suspiciously, then took back her 50-pence and made it vanish beneath the layers of coats and shawls in which she was enveloped. Excuse me. "I've been to London," she confided. "I was married in London. But he was a bad man. My ma'am told me not to go marrying outside, but I was young and beautiful, although you'd never credit it today, and I followed my heart." "I'm sure you did," said Richard. Conviction that he was about to be sick was starting slowly to fade. "In fact, a lot of good it done me. I've been homeless, so I know you know what it's like," said the woman. "That's why I thought you was. What are you going to London for?" "I got a job," he told proudly. "Doing what?" Security," said Richard. "I was a dancer. said the old woman, and she tottered awkwardly around the sidewalk, humming tunelessly to herself. Then she teetered from side to side like a spinning top, coming to rest. And finally she stopped facing Richard. "Hold out your hand," she told him, "and I'll tell you your fortune." He did as he was told. He put her old hand into his and held it tightly. And then she blinked a few times like an owl who swallowed a mouse that was beginning to disagree with it. "You've got a long way to go," she said, puzzled. "London," Richard told her. "No, not just London," the old woman paused. "Not any London I know." It started to rain, and then softly, "I'm sorry," she said, "it starts with doors." "Doors?" She nodded. The rain fell harder, pattering on the roofs and on the asphalt of the road. "I'd watch out for doors if I were you." Richard stood up a little unsteadily. "All right," he said. "I'm not sure how you ought to treat information in this nature. I will. Thanks." The pub door opened and light spilled and noise spilled out with Richard. "Richard, you all right?" "Yes, I'm fine. I'll be back in a second." The old lady was already wobbling down the street into the pelting rain, getting wet. Richard felt he had to do something for her. He couldn't give her money. He hurried after her down the narrow street, the cold drenching his face and hair. "Here," said Richard, fumbling with the handle of the umbrella, trying to find the button that opened it. Then a click, and it blossomed into a huge white map of London Underground network, each line drawn in a different color, every station marked and not named. The old woman took the umbrella gratefully and smiled her thanks. "You're a good heart," she told him. "Sometimes that's enough to see you safe wherever you go." And then she shook her head. "But mostly it's not." She clutched the umbrella tightly as a gust of wind threatened to tug it away from her or pull it inside out. She wrapped her arms around it and bent almost double against the rain and the wind. Then she walked into the rain and the night, a round white shape covered with the names of London tube stations: Earl's Court, Marble Arch, Blackfriars, White City, Victoria Angel, Oxford Circus. Richard found himself pondering drunkenly whether there really was a circus at Oxford Circus. A real circus with clowns, beautiful women, and dangerous beasts. Pub door opened once more, blasted sound as if the pub's volume control had been turned up to high. "Richard, you idiot! It's your bloody party and you're missing all of it." He walked back to the tub, the urge to be sick lost in all the oddness. "You look like a drowned rat," said Richard. "I'm sorry," said someone. "You've never seen a drowned rat," said Richard. Someone else handed him a large whiskey. "Here, get that down you. They'll warm you up. You know you won't be able to get real Scotch in London." "I'm sure I will," said Richard. Water was dripping from his hair into the drink. "They have everything in London." And he downed the Scotch, and after that someone brought him another. And then the evening blurred and broke up into fragments. Afterward he remembered only the feeling that he was about to leave somewhere small and rational. A place that made sense. For somewhere huge and old that didn't. And vomiting intermittently into a gutter flowing with rainwater somewhere in the small hours of the morning. And a white shape marked with strange colored symbols, like a little round beetle, walking away from him in the rain. The next morning, after he boarded this train for a 6-hour journey south that would bring him to the strange Gothic spires and arches of St. Pancras Station, his mother gave him a small walnut cake that she had made for the journey and a thermos filled with tea. And Richard Mayhew went to London feeling like hell.